party people. You've arrived to the party station. You know why? Because it's 420! And not only does it happen to be 420, it's also our 1 year anniversary. That's right, guys. You've been watching me for an entire year, or maybe you haven't, who knows? Maybe you're just showing up. Either way, I'm so thankful for each and every one of you that take the time to listen to me and show you guys how to use this amazing plant. We've been going through this with the pandemic, switching kitchens, baking all sorts of things, and I now have a kitchen that we can call home, get comfortable, and it happens to be my real home. So I can't wait to make some genuine memories with you guys in my space, have all sorts of fun, go balls to the wall, because you know, it's cannabis. It's time to have some fun. Enough of that. Let's get to what you came here for, some baking. So let me grab my apron. Okay guys, so today we are going to be making a lemon space cake. In my opinion, next to pot brownies, space cakes are probably the most iconic or infamous edible, if you will. But really when it comes down to it, space cakes are usually like a slice of pound cake. So today we're basically gonna be making a lemon pound cake, but with weed in it. So we're gonna go to the moon, you know what I'm saying? We're going to space. Before we can go to the moon, we have to get our ingredients together, am I right? So we are gonna be doing a cake plus a little tart lemon glaze. So first let's start with our cake ingredients. We need 1.5 cups of flour. We also need 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then we need 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of lovely butter over here, which is already softened and at room temperature, which is key for this recipe. As per usual, this is going to be your chance to infuse. So how much can butter you use to regular unsalted butter is totally up to you and your tolerance. I'm personally going for about 2 tablespoons of a can of butter that I made with lemon haze, specifically for this lovely lemon pound cake. And I did that knowing that there's probably going to be about 8 to maybe 12 servings, maybe. I like a thick slice of cake. So, you know, gauge that for yourself and keep in mind how many portions you're gonna have at the end of this thing. So, moving right along, we of course need lemons to get this lovely fresh lemon flavor. We're gonna end up splitting these lemons in between the frosting and the cake, but go ahead and grab 2. We also need 1/4 cup of full-fat Greek yogurt. You can use sour cream or buttermilk if you like. Both are just gonna change the texture a little bit. I'm going for the Greek yogurt because I feel like it gives it this nice, dense, rich flavor. We also need 3 beautiful eggs, and we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now for the frosting, we need 1 cup of powdered sugar. We're gonna use some of this lemon here, like I already mentioned, and 1 tablespoon of milk. And that's pretty much it, kids. So of course you'll need a loaf pan as well, which I have already greased and prepared for our baking pleasure. I'll put that to the side for now just to get her out of the way. And then you'll need to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. My cute little oven is already doing that. So let's move the frosting ingredients out of the way and just leave space for what we do need, right? So as per usual, we are gonna start by mixing our dry ingredients. This time it does not include the sugar. Sugar is gonna go with our buttery friends. So all we're gonna mix together is just the flour, the baking soda, and the salt. That's it. Pour them in here. And just a friendly reminder, we are mixing these together first because we want to prevent any clumping, right? We don't want to have just a taste of baking powder or a taste of salt. We want to make sure everything is evenly distributed, homogeneous. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep saying that word. I'm going to keep annoying you with it. Okay. Give her a little mix, give her a little whisk until you feel like she's fully incorporated. This is a little bit tougher because there's no cinnamon or nutmeg or anything that is visual to cue you to say like, hey, I'm mixed totally, but it's all good. Just give her a nice healthy mixing. That's probably pretty good. And then we are done with her. We'll toss her to the side. Then let's do a little musical chairs here. And we will use my mixer today. I'm so excited that I finally get to use her. Now, you don't have to use a stand mixer. This is totally, you know, some pro baking shit. This stuff definitely is, you know, a bit of a commitment, I guess we'll call it. But I'm committed, baby. I'm committed. You can totally use a fork. Y'all know that's my favorite tool. I will not judge you if that's what you use. You can use a hand mixer, a whisk, whatever it is that you have that is gonna work best for you. But I'm gonna use my baby. I'm so excited. Okay, so first things first, if you're using a mixer, make sure she's locked on. You don't want your bowl wibbling and wobbling and doing all types of crazy stuff. And then I'm using the paddle attachment today. You can use a whisk attachment. Bam. Okay, we'll lift her up. And then what you're gonna do is you're basically just gonna mix it until it looks light and creamy. So we'll let her do her thing. Oh yeah, that's looking beautiful. And you can already smell a little bit of the lemon coming off of it just from the lemon haze alone. So we're in a good place. Now let's go ahead and add the sugar now that she's nice and fluffy. But in between each step, and you can do this whether you're using a stand mixer or not, go ahead and scrape down the bowl to make sure all the good stuff is right back in the middle and you're kind of at ground zero again, if you will. And if you won't, get out of here. Okay, next is sugar. Sugar and butter are best of friends. We're mixing them together now to kind of prevent any crystallization, any crunchiness. So we'll whip it again at high speed to get it nice and fluffy. So let's get her going. I start kind of low and build my way up because I don't want to have just a burst of sugar going everywhere. So now that, you know, she's already getting a little incorporated, we'll pick up the speed a little bit, fluff her up. Okay, she's looking pretty good to me. She's looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and scrape down the sides once more, because now we are going to add our eggs one at a time. If you happen to be a cool kid with a stand mixer, leave it on low as you mix them in. If you are not using a stand mixer, and that's totally fine, you're still a cool kid, just mix it until it's, you know, incorporated, and then add another. Don't just plop all three in at once. Make it a gradual process. So I'm gonna put her on low. Ah yes, a nice delicate murmur. And we're just gonna crack them in one at a time. Oh, and kids, I have a treat for you. I finally learned how to do a 1 egg crack. Let's see. I don't know, I'm feeling a little camera shy now. I'm feeling a little nervous, so I'm gonna do it on the third one, okay? I promise, guys, I'm gonna do it on the third one. I promise. I'm not gonna let you down. I'm not gonna let you down. Okay, this is it. It's the big moment, guys, okay? I did it! Yay! Aren't you guys so proud of me? Finally, after all this time, I've learned how to do a 1 egg crack. Okay, now back to the baking shit. Let's get serious. We're gonna pick up the speed just a little bit, get this egg really mixed in there. Perfect. Okay, so we want to scrape down the bowl once more now that our eggs are nice and incorporated. It doesn't have to be completely homogeneous. I know that's my favorite thing, but we're gonna get there. We don't want the eggs over mixed either, because this isn't supposed to be, you know, necessarily a fluffy ass cake. So we don't want to go crazy there. So next we want to throw in the yogurt. Plop her on in, nice little solid plop. Wonderful. Toss in the beautiful vanilla. Love it. And now this is gonna be a little tip for you guys, hot tip, hot take. So we need basically, if you're not going to use fresh lemon, although I highly recommend you do, you basically need about 3 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, which is essentially 1 lemon, right? But we also need the zest of 1 lemon. So I learned this the hard way. You don't want to juice your lemon before you zest it. It's going to be nearly impossible to zest it after you juice it. So we're going to zest her first, then juice her. Okay, so you want to zest the whole lemon. Get around this whole thing. We want as much lemon flavor in there as possible. And me especially, I love tart lemon flavor. And especially with weed in it, the lemon flavor is what's going to not only, I hate to use the word mask because it's not going to mask it. They complement each other, right? So the limonene and the lemon haze, which is a beautiful citrusy terpene that is found in obviously citrus like lemon, orange, lime, hence the name limonene, but it is also found in cannabis, right? So the two just naturally go together. So having real lemon zest in there that has real limonene is going to make a huge difference in the final flavor of your cake. So don't be shy when it comes to this zest, okay? If it were up to me, I'd probably put 3 whole dang lemons in here. I love lemon flavor, especially in the springtime. It's just something about it. Fresh, bright. It's just perfect. Almost done, but I want to get, every little corner that I can. And I guess I should explain this too. If you've never zested, you don't want to go beneath the surface, right? Like you just want to get that first little kind of skin layer off. You don't want to go to the fruit, if that makes sense. Okay, cool. I'm actually gonna get some more off this little top here. And then whatever you're using to zest your lemon, make sure to tap it off because you're gonna have all types of good stuff underneath here, right? All right, cool. So she is done. Now let's slice her open. Give her a slice, and please don't do as I'm doing and do this in your hand. I just trust myself, okay? But please don't cut yourself, especially if you're high. Be careful out there, kittens. It's 420. I know you're lit. Okay, cool. So I also am going to use a handy dandy little tool, this little like strainer here, just because there's seeds in the lemon, right? Don't put the seeds in here. We don't want crunchy little seeds in our cake. So just make sure you get all these beautiful juices out. Again, every little bit of lemon flavor that we can get, we want it. We want it. Yes, we do. Okay, cool. That makes me happy. I think she's cool there. Set this to the side. Just dry my hands off, put this back in place, and then we'll just whip it together. The dough is gonna be a little bit lumpy, a little bit chunky, and that's totally cool. So let's get her going. We'll start low just to get it moving and grooving. Pick up the speed just a tiny bit, tiny bit, whip her up, boop, 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 boop. Okay, that's enough. We don't want it to go too crazy because like much of baking, the more you whip it, the denser and tougher and chewier it's gonna get, right? So we don't want that. Let's wipe her down once more. And then let's get some of these little bits out from the paddle because I wanna make sure that they're getting mixed in as well. And now I'm just being bombarded by a beautiful lemon flavor. Let's dump in the dry ingredients. She's in there. Sometimes you gotta encourage them a little bit, you know, gentle encouragement. It's okay, a little tough love. Okay, whip this back into place. And again, let's start low because we don't want flour exploding in your face. Start low, speed her up just a tad now that she's getting more incorporated. Should we go a level more? I think we shall. Oh, but she's looking great. Wowza! We're gonna give it just a quick little, and honestly kittens, that's looking pretty good. So I'm turning this to myself. I'm sorry you can't see it. I'm sorry it's a one-woman show right now, but You want to shake off all of your precious, precious dough, because this is where the precious, precious weed is. My precious. Okay, so get all this off. That's looking pretty good. I'm resisting the urge to lick this. If you guys weren't here, I totally would. So I encourage you to lick the fuck out of whatever you just mixed yours with, but just get ready to be high in about, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes. But let's get her all together one last time. Whippity wop, whippity woom. Wow, yeah, that looks perfect. Yes, ma'am. So a pound cake texture, like typical cake texture, might be a little bit thinner than this. We're gonna tuck her to the side now. Thank you, dear. You did your work. You did your due diligence. Oh, look at her, just tucked and snug. I love her so much. Okay, give it a little whipty woom, whipty wop. Okay, but that looks perfect, right? Like that's the texture you're looking for. It's almost gonna look kind of bread. It's like a wet bread and a dense cake. Does that make sense? Maybe not. You'll get there. So, as I mentioned, this is pre-oiled. You can butter it, you can flour it, you can spray it, you can put parchment paper in there if you want to be extra wary that it's gonna come out of there. But this oil is enough for me. And because this is kind of a thick batter, you are gonna have to spread it out once she's in there, and you got to kind of encourage her out. I'm using a rubber spatula, which again is another thing you should totally invest in. If you don't have one, you 100% should, because they're just so handy. It gets all the batter out. You'd be surprised how much batter you're leaving behind when you just use a spoon or just pour it out by hand. Okay, fantastic. We'll put that to the side as well. And then see, just spread her out. Get that little corner. She's looking neglected. Okay, cool. And it doesn't have to be perfectly neat. This cake is not going to rise too much. It's honestly going to be like a cute little brick cake is how I kind of like to call it. It won't taste like a brick, and it won't be tough like a brick, but it'll kind of look like a cute little brick cake. Again, if you guys weren't here, I would totally be licking this, but I'm just gonna put it to the side because I have manners. And now that my oven is nice and preheated, as I mentioned, at 350 degrees, we are gonna pop her in the oven. Now, she's gonna go in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. There's a chance it could take a little bit longer. You just wanna make sure that when you stick in a butter knife, a toothpick, whatever it is that you have, that it comes out clean. A couple moist crumbs are totally normal, but you don't want it to be doughy, right? You don't want to pull out any dough. So it'll look kind of browned on the edges, not so brown in the middle. And that's when you know it's ready to go. So while she is doing that, we are gonna make our lovely frosting. So, grab my ingredients from the side once more. Let's get rid of these bowls that we don't need. All clean, station's ready to go for you guys. So now we have our powdered sugar. If you notice, I saved my fun little tool here so that I can strain out the seeds. And then we have 1 tablespoon of milk. So this recipe is super simple. Just mix it all together. So plop. And you only need half of a lemon. If the frosting is too thick and you want to thin it out a little bit, you can add the other half of the lemon for a little bit more juice. If you're not using a fresh lemon, we're aiming for about 1.5 tablespoons of juice. But again, invest in those fresh lemons. They're what, 50 cents if that at the store? I'm not judging anybody, but steal one off your neighbor's tree. Just get a fresh lemon. Okay, she looks good. I'm gonna use a fork. I know some people probably hate that about me, but it's a handy little tool. I feel like it mixes similar to a whisk, but it doesn't get stuck in the whiskey bits. You know what I'm talking about? The whiskey bits. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our glaze. She's ready to go. So I'm just gonna store her to the side because we really can't use her until the cake is completely cool. You can do it while it's still slightly warm, but you really want it to be cool. So she's gonna sit on the sidelines for quite some time. I'm probably gonna even put a cover over top of her just to, you know, keep things freshly fresh, but she's ready to go, and that's it. So all there is left to do while this cake is still baking, I'm gonna peek at her. Yeah, she's still got a ways to go. So that means it's time for me to get...
Hi. Let's look.
Yay! Our cake is ready. Let's see what she looks like. Ooh, yes ma'am. Some golden brown perfection. Looking good enough to eat. But unfortunately, we do have to wait 1 hour in this lovely pan here because she has to cool and the steam needs to stay in there and do its thing. So I know it hurts, but we just gotta wait for an hour, okay guys? But in the meantime, I have another cake for you. Ta-da! Look guys, bam, brand new cake. So she's still got those golden brown edges, nice and crackly in the center. All that's left to do is to frost her. So we have the frosting from earlier that we are just going to spread over the top. I'm giving it a little fresh mix so that she's nice and pliable. She's ready to go. Great, so I'm actually going to grab a little spatula here for you so that we can spread it over the top and make sure that it evenly covers. Now I have it on the cooling rack with some parchment paper underneath because it might get a little messy. It might want to drip down the sides. So I just want to make sure I am preventing any cleanup for myself. I don't feel like cleaning. Spread this around. Looking good. And then as soon as she is covered, we can get in here and have a bite, kids. So don't be shy. Get in there. And that looks good. It looks kind of like an artistic drip, you know, looking very bakery. I'm gonna say that's just about perfect, kids. What do you think? Gorgeous little glossy surface, dripping down the sides. I think it's time to have a bite. We're gonna get in here with this little knife here, grab myself a plate. You know, I really want a centerpiece, but I'm not gonna be an asshole and cut it from the center. So we'll grab this piece here on the end. I'm sure it will still be equally as delicious. Ooh, yes, look at that gorgeous yellow color on the inside, looking like a dang lemon, looking like a dang cake that I wanna eat. Yes, ma'am, okay. That's some good frosting. Just enough lemon. I'm gonna take just a little bite here from the top because I want that frosting. I'm feeling greedy today. It's 420. Fuck it. My goodness. This right there, this right here is a cake, and it tastes amazing. I don't have anything else for you guys. Eat up, enjoy. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Nice springtime 420 perfection for you and yours. Enjoy. Can't wait to see you next time. Like, share, subscribe, all that. You know what to do. Thank you again, guys. Stay blessed. Never stressed. And happy 420!